Hello everybody, it is Presence. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I hope you enjoy the next few stories that I have. Tonight, I have two stories for you guys, both written by two of my favorite creators from Reddit. These individuals are extremely talented, and if you guys like my narration or like the stories you hear, I will leave them linked down below or link the creators down below so that you guys may look at them for yourself. Without further ado, let's get into it. The first story I'll be reading for you, it was submitted to the r/short scary stories subreddit by username Diddy Baby Oil, and it is titled Bedtime. For most people at my age, sleeping is their favorite time of the day, the time when you escape all of your problems and troubles. The moment of peace and silence can change people, but for some people, bedtime can be a nightmare, and those people are afraid of sleeping. The feeling of being without control, or the feeling of being without a choice, and the control of your reactions can be extremely frightening. Just think about it for a moment. You close your eyes and you start to hear things. You start to see things that are not real, at least not for the real world, but for you, they are very, very real. Yet, you don't know what they truly are. My name is Richard, and I am going to tell you my story. I hate to talk about it, but I feel like I have to get my story out there. My story begins like this. When I was 17 years old and a student, things didn't go as planned. I wanted to be successful and make my family happy, to see my parents happy, joined by my efforts, albeit they didn't really get along, and their vibe ruined the house's ambience, turned it from a safe space into a toxic wasteland. So I thought that if I did good at school, then it would bring joy into their lives. Most of the time, I was just spending outside with my little brother Alan. Alan and me were kind of best friends. He was full of excitement when I was with him. I really don't know why, but I liked it. It was contagious. He made me feel important and desirable, which was something that I didn't feel most of the time. I was kind of lonely in my school. Everybody was making fun of me because of how short I was. Everyone except for Alan. So I could not imagine a world that I am happy without him. Alan was 11, and he was so childish, and he always made me laugh, even at my worst moments. In those moments of sorrow and misery, I had one ray of light, and that was him standing there, smiling at me. One morning, I woke up to the sound of sirens. It wasn't the first time it happened. My father was in jail a long time ago for using drugs, so I wasn't surprised. I just hope he didn't use them again. Though my father wasn't the best dad ever, I still loved him. But when I opened my door, I saw something I didn't expect. I saw my dad and my mom crying uncontrollably. That was rare. They never cried. They were never so much as seen in a room together. And the fact that they had been and that they were crying terrified me. It was very early and the cops weren't just here. Something bad happened. After some time, I managed to calm down my mom while my dad was talking to the policeman. I asked her, "Are you okay? What happened?" While I said that, her hands began to shake, and I knew that her heart was racing. Then she said very slowly, It's your brother. He's missing." As soon as she said that, I lost myself. The only one that I felt a connection with, the only one that was really close to me and really understood me, is gone. I went straight into his room. I opened the door and I didn't see him. I opened the closet. I opened everything and he wasn't there. I searched everywhere in the house, but he wasn't anywhere to be found. All of a sudden, my head hurt and I couldn't breathe, but it didn't make any sense. Why? Why him? He didn't harm anyone. He was good. So why him? When a person is missing every day that passes by, the chance of return become lower. But when it's an 11-year-old kid, every day is like a week. 3 days have passed. 3 days that I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, drink, or even laugh. Nothing was the same anymore. Nothing made me feel joy. Nothing made me happy. And Dad, he started again. He started with the drugs. I didn't tell anyone, but I saw him. It disappointed me so much. It didn't take long for my mother to notice. In no time they were arguing, even more since Alan went missing. At one point it was too much and Dad left the house. He never came back. So it was just me and my mom alone. 4 days have passed and I was exhausted. And I felt that if I didn't go to sleep, I would officially go crazy. Sweetie, Mom said, I understand your feelings, but you have to go back to bed. You can't stay like that forever. I knew she was right, but I was afraid. What if I see Alan? But I had to sleep. You're right, I said. And so I opened my door and went into my bed, and I closed my eyes. In my dream, I saw Dad staring at me. He was disappointed, as if I did something wrong, but I didn't know what he looked at me for. Why? He seemed sad. It took me a while to realize his expression. At first, I thought he was angry. However, I never seen this. I had never seen him like this. Slowly, Dad began to move further and further, but he kept staring at me. Then I woke up and looked at the clock, and it was 11 a.m. Usually, I would wake up at 7 a.m. to get ready for school. But as I said, nothing was the same. I never believed in dreams or nightmares. Some people say that they have meaning and that dreams are special, but it seemed to me that it was all lies. A dream is a dream, and a nightmare is a nightmare. They are random. They mean nothing. I didn't think much about that night. I knew that my dream was a bit strange, but it didn't bother me. I didn't really care. I was glad I managed to sleep at dinner. At dinner, Mom and me didn't say a word. It was like we didn't know each other. I asked her, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Nothing." The silence was impenetrable. I finished eating and went into my room. I'm so tired, I said to myself. It was getting kind of late, so I got into bed and I laid my head on the pillow and closed my eyes. In my dream, I went to brush my teeth in the bathroom. When I was done, I fixed my hair with both hands, then smiled to the mirror. But the figure didn't smile back. I was in shock and couldn't believe it. I tried to smile again, but the figure in the mirror still didn't smile back. But then the figure got angry. It started pointing at me. It was like the mirror version of myself hated the real me. The figure started to crack. I didn't even touch it. It did on its own. It kept cracking until I couldn't see my face anymore. I woke up this time. I was frustrated. It was the second time that I had a strange dream. I thought that was weird, and it kind of stressed me out. I didn't believe in dreams, but they were different. It was like they tried to tell me something that I didn't quite understand. But, as always, I denied it. During the day, all I could think of was that dream, but I didn't tell anyone about it. If I would, everybody will think that I'm crazy. and that I have issues. Even if I would have told my mom, she wouldn't listen. She never did, especially not after Alan and my father. Every time I talked to her, she would just ignore me. She didn't seem like she cared about me enough to help me. At that time, it was even worse. At around 11 p.m., I got tired again. Usually, I would just go to bed around 12 p.m., but I felt so exhausted ever since Alan was lost, so I went to sleep. The third dream, I was playing games with Alan. I couldn't remember the games we played, but it was so fun. Then we went to a restaurant to eat some pasta, his favorite. When we were done eating, we went to the park to play hide and seek. I remember when I thought of myself, what a beautiful day it is. It was happy, full of joy. Once we made our way home, Alan went to rest in his room and I went to my room. The dream then became a nightmare. I heard Alan scream for his life. I rushed to his room, but the door was locked. I called my mom, but she wasn't home. I tried to kick the door, but it didn't work. Alan's room was locked, trapped even. But then all of a sudden the screaming stopped. But I heard Alan suffering from pain saying, I will never forgive you. But I will always love you. I shouted his name, but he didn't answer. I woke up and I was in shock. The dream had terrified me. I knew that they weren't normal, but Alan's words, they made me feel so uncomfortable. He died in my dream, but who killed him? Who would do such a thing? I wanted to vomit. I became sick, but then I started to try to connect my dreams together. My first dream, the disappointment in my father's face symbolized my disappointment. In the second dream, the cracking in the mirror symbolized my regret. The third dream meant that it was my fault. All of these dreams combined together meant that it was my fault, that I regret, that I am disappointed. They made me all realize that I killed Alan. I have to say, that story was definitely very, very interesting. At first, my first time reading it, I figured it was apparent. But as the dreams slowly became more apparent, it was almost as if our main character, Richard, had a split personality. But I'm curious to know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think led Richard to kill Alan, the one person who always loved him, the one person who always cared for him? This reminds me of an image that I've seen before of Scooby-Doo, which states the main lesson that we can all take from Scooby-Doo is that the biggest monsters in our lives are not randoms. Rather, they're the people closest to us. Let me know what you think in the comments. Our second and final story is short, but will genuinely make you question things. It was submitted to the r/paranormal subreddit by username the_storm_. Without further ado, let's get into the story called I Think I've Been Living with a Spirit and Taking It for Granted. I don't know how to start this, but throughout my life, I've believed that it's normal for things to fall abruptly, or similar things such as cold chills, random winds, whispers in your home. I believe all these things to be normal. For some places to feel heavier or colder, over someone to hug you while you sleep. Until relatively recently, around a year ago, I learned that this is considered paranormal activity. And I always believed that it happened to everyone. It wasn't just me, right? However, this all changed when I told my best friend about the happenings. I told him, "This is normal, isn't it?" And he looked at me like I was crazy. Honestly, I thought I had a schizophrenia in the beginning because I would occasionally see a man, always with the same appearance, blue eyes, black hair, traditionally dressed, in what I believe to be Heian era clothing, and around 6'4" in height, in my house watching me from some corner. But since I never saw him do anything back to me, he only ever watched me. I thought I was just crazy. Until I mentioned this, until I had mentioned I have seen on many occasions things suddenly fall over without even a gust of wind nearby. Things move on their own, arrange themselves, disappear for no reason at all, sometimes while I'm home alone. I think he is following me. I say, many people have pointed out to me that I have weird vibes, while children have asked me about the guy with blue eyes behind me. Also have many cats, so randomly I'll hear noises through the night and believe that it is them, or my parents. Which, by the way, my cats also seem to react to a weird presence, since I have seen on many occasions where it is a really deep presence that you can feel in the air and in your soul. Some of my cats, who sleep near or around my bed, stand on two legs with curiosity and then act as if she's been pet. But recently, when I mentioned this to my brother, he said I'm crazy. His exact words were, "You're crazy, dude. How can things be that way? How can you have a spirit? These things don't happen." I'm a big believer in spiritualism and all, but it makes me doubt it. My friend and I even joke about it since blue eyes, black hair, and tall are exactly my type of man. We even gave him a name, Michael. But that's all jokes, right? This is weird. I even remember Michael from when I was a baby. I have a memory of the crib and him looking at me until I extended my hand out to him, which he then took and smiled at me. I don't remember this very well, but I've confirmed that it is not false. I confirmed that it isn't just some weird memory created by my weird imagination. Because I described the whole scene to my mother, and she says it's exactly how they had the room when I was a baby. My mother claims that as a baby I acted weird, always looking in one direction, laughing at myself, or trying to escape the crib to the same spot. Am I going crazy? Or am I in the presence of something paranormal that I thought was normal? I'm so confused. I believe these things happen to everyone, as I've stated. I've seen other paranormal activities hundreds of times, if not thousands of times. I love horror and things of the sort, and I'm so immersed in these topics, but I never believed that mine was real. I never believed that these things could happen to me. Again, a very interesting story for our last story. It reminds me a lot of how far medicine has come. How in the very beginning, when mental illnesses were discovered, people would be sent to madhouses, experimented on, drugged, just because we didn't understand what was wrong with them. Many people were later diagnosed with schizophrenia, had either already undergone an exorcism, or been so drugged that they could barely even speak. I believe both of our stories today could relate to mental illness, or could relate to something a lot more nefarious. But that's just my take. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you